We are fortunate to have Kelsey Dering from the Washtenaw County Parks to talk to us today about trails to visit here in our county. As spring approaches, we're all eager to get outside, some people more than others, but if you have a question for Kelsey, just type it in the chat window, which you can find on a computer. It's on the bottom of the screen. And I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Kelsey. I need to do one more thing up here on full screen first. Kelsey has been a naturalist for the Washtenaw County Parks since 2016, but she's been involved with WCPARC, which I don't know how to pronounce, since 2019 in various capacities. She took 1 year away to work in Rhode Island as a marine science educator and in Georgia at a 4-H environmental camp. Since becoming a naturalist, she has played an integral part in running and growing the nest box monitoring program and developing an archery program. Kelsey has a bachelor's degree in wildlife and fisheries science from Penn State University, and her favorite activities include hiking, birding, and admiring cloud and stars. And now, here's Kelsey.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share some of these different places. Some of them are, maybe I'm biased because they're like my personal favorite ones to visit. But I'm excited to share them. So let me find the, where's the internet screen to share? Let me pull up the PowerPoint. Is it showing up for you guys?
Oh, I mean,
oh, here.
Share
No,
screen.
I think I've got it.
Okay, good.
There we go. Is everyone seeing this?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So yeah, so trails to visit in Washtenaw County, and just a tiny bit about us. So our mission as Washtenaw County Parks, and I'll read this. So we hope to enrich the quality of life for residents and visitors by providing an exceptional park system, preserving the county's cultural and ecological resources, and offering diverse recreation opportunities that reflect the needs and well-being of the community. And by doing that, we have a lot of places protected and preserved. So we have 14 parks. Within that park, we have a couple really neat historical places. We do have a golf course. We have also a couple of our parks have fun water parks in them. And then on top of that, we have 37 nature preserves. So as of right now, we are at nearly like 6,000 acres preserved and protected, with an addition of 1,800 acres on conservation easements, which mean like if the farmer were ever to stop farming, it wouldn't be like sold off for development of that kind of nature of like housing and all that. It would stay most likely an open natural area. And with all that land, there is a ton to do. So all sorts of hiking, walking, biking and swimming. We have a ton of nature programs. We actually even recently started up a series within the past year specifically for the senior community called Senior Naturalist, which is really cool. You get to do fun, like almost like sciencey nature-based stuff instead of just like a typical just walk and look at things. We do have archeries, as we talked about, and all sorts of volunteer opportunities. And there's a lot to do and lots of different places to visit. So I'm going to kind of go through what I consider some easier hikes and then go up into like an intermediate kind of medium to what I would consider maybe a more challenging, difficult hike. And to start with our easy one here, the Border to Border Trail. And you're probably looking at that 35 miles of trail and like, what is easy about that? So it's not, you don't have to walk the continuous 35 miles. It does break it into like little sections. You can start at other little parks and go to another little park. So it is really cool. It's a great connecting to different places. It is multi-use, as you can see on the pictures here. So you will encounter hikers, walkers, families with strollers and wagons. You will encounter bikers on the trail. So if you're not wanting to deal with like wheels, I guess you can say, maybe this isn't the trail for you. And I would highly suggest like visiting the b2btrail.org to get those maps of like the individual sections. Because like I said, it has a lot to it. And I just didn't have the time to like show you each little mini trail map. But this is overall, this is the most recent I could find. Couldn't find ones that have because this was like 2021 construction. So I don't have like what was completed. So I apologize about that. But you can see it does span the whole entire length of our county. And it seems like it's only growing, and the gaps that you do see are hopeful in the future. So like that big one between like, let's see, dots 6 there and 7. This is hopefully someday going to be done. It's projected for now, but really cool. And it's mostly like pretty level flat, a lot of paved. Anything that goes over water is going to be boardwalk, but it's pretty high quality boardwalk. So it'll feel pretty smooth. It might be bumpy, but it'll feel like not as, I don't know, there's some rustic boardwalks out there. So it'll feel pretty good. Another really easy one, because it does have a lot of a nice paved loop, 5 miles of paved loop actually, is Rolling Hills County Park. So this one is located in Ypsilanti. It does have a vehicle entry fee, so I don't know if that is a turnoff for anyone. And it can get pretty busy in the summer. So it does have a water park in it. It is like a top, it seems like destination on like a warm summer day. So it can get pretty busy, especially in the afternoon. So keep that in mind. It does have some really lovely nature trails though. I will say there are a couple spots in those nature trails that do get really, really steep. So like in the winter, I don't even walk on those just because they can get really icy and it's a little sketchy, scary. This park does allow dogs, so if walking the dog is important to you, and it does have facilities. So there are bathrooms on site. And there are lots of pavilions and playgrounds, so it's a really great family gathering spot, as well as you can see here the pond does offer some pretty good fishing. I've seen some really big bass come out of that pond before. So here's our overall map of the park. So this thicker gray line that you see, that is going to be the road actually that goes around the park, and all of the black is paved trail. So you don't have to do all 5 miles. You can take shorter loops. I do like these outer loops here, where it says like future park development. They're really nice fields. You get a lot of really cool birds out there. So if you're into birding, it's a fun spot. And those steep hills are going to be where it says Spring Pond. So they're going to be back behind this pond. It's pretty steep. And there are, where it says Sassafras Woods is a really nice, beautiful patch of woods. So that can be a good little spot, just like really tiny loop to walk. Next is Independence Lake County Park, another one that does have a vehicle entry fee, but I would say beyond worth it. This is one of my, like, if I had to pick like top 5, this is one of my top 5. There's great mix of different habitats. So there's beautiful woods to walk through. There's some boardwalks that go through really nice marsh habitat. And then there's some natural nature trails that go through some really beautiful prairies. So it just offers this like great diverse mix of different types of nature areas that you're walking through. On top of it, there's the lake, which is really beautiful. Like if you can get there, I always tell people like go like in the morning or in the evenings to catch like sunrise, sunset, because it's just it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's the best time, I swear. Also, what I really like about Independence Lake is you can see in that bottom corner there is they have a lot of benches. Not all of our places, I feel like, have benches everywhere. But if you are a person that likes a good sit every now and then while you're walking, Independence Lake, it's going to get you that. They have lots of benches that overlook just some really beautiful areas. It does have facilities, so there are bathrooms on site. There's concessions and snack bars. Dogs are allowed, but really just to the paved trails. And then on top of it, there's all sorts of other recreation activities. So you can swim in the lake, there's pavilions, playground, fishing. You can rent boats at this facility, so you can actually go out onto the lake, which is really, really nice. So here is our map of Independence Lake County Park. And if you notice, the nature trail had such a pretty like big, I don't know, discrepancy of how much is there. And that's because this kind of blue dotted line here is a seasonal cross-country trail. And you can walk that as a nature trail. It's just a little disjointed, I would say, from some of the other nature trails. And it does, if you read in this block here, it says the disc golf course, which is like golfing, but with like frisbees, I guess. You like throw them at these chain baskets. So you do have to like cut through the disc golf course, and that can kind of be a turnoff for some people, especially if you're there looking for like a more quiet naturey scene, because you're going to hear those discs hitting these chain baskets. But it can be worth it if you cut through there and get out to the fields. There are some pretty nice fields, but my favorite spots are this boardwalk that cuts through the marsh. Really beautiful. Get some really neat birds through there. And then I also love this woodcock prairie, as well as this Indie prairie section. It can get a little wet through here, so do keep that in mind. But yeah, a really nice place to be, and a great like family spot, like I said, because there's so much like playgrounds and pavilions to hang out at. Just an all around nice place. Another one is Parker Mill. This one's pretty neat because it has like what is technically our paved trail, which is only like a quarter mile of paved trail. But that does connect to another trail. I don't actually have the numbers for how long that trail is, and I apologize about that. But it does connect up to Gallup Park and the Mathi Botanical Garden. So you could technically go all the way from Gallup through Parker Mill up to the Mathi Botanical Gardens, which is, I don't know, pretty neat connection. I think it's part of the B2B, that whole thing. So it is going to be multi-use. So you will have all sorts of people using it, you know, with wheels and non-wheels on the trails. It is one of our historical parks. So you can see this bigger picture here has our grist mill in it. It is a semi-operational grist mill, so we still can grind corn inside the mill. And I think this year, it's been a couple of years just with the way the world has gone, I think we're going to start to be able to host tours there again. Usually there's like weekend open house style tours. So hopefully, they usually run in the fall. So hopefully by the fall, if you walk this, you'll be able to come inside and check out the mill and see what it used to be like. I will say the trail by the mill is incredibly steep. So if you have any worries about steep trails, hills, that section right from the parking lot down past the mill is pretty steep. I know there's plans to fix that. So in the future, the next couple of years, you might see construction on that trail. But the rest of it is pretty flat and level. There are some naturey trails there. And then I really love the boardwalk trail, the Hoyt Post Boardwalk that goes along Fleming Creek. It's just really stunning. I will say, here's the map of Parker Mill. Once you get closer to the Huron River, so where that red trail goes, I will admit it does get a little stinky. The water treatment plant is somewhere like on the other side of that. So you can kind of smell some of that. But if you can go nose blind, it is a really lovely, lovely walk. And I have seen some really great birds in there. So I do like it. I do enjoy it. And I will say it goes under this railroad section here. And depending on the time of year and the flooding and rain that we've got, that boardwalk can go completely underwater. So you might not be able to hike this whole trail depending on what the rain and weather has been doing. Another one, and this is in my top 5 as well, is Westlake. And I would say this is kind of getting into maybe intermediate hike. Mostly because there's no paved trail. This is all natural. It's about 3 miles. There are lots of loops, so you can like make things shorter, or if you want to go longer, you can like double up on some loops. It also doesn't have any like facilities, so there's no bathrooms on site. And as a preserve, it doesn't allow dogs. But it's really, really pretty. It has some incredible views. I feel like every time I've gone there, like as a person who loves clouds and clouds appreciation, I feel like I'm always seeing beautiful, like it's always perfect sky whenever I go. Maybe not today, it's a little rainy here. But it is really just like a stunning place to be, and just has great like open vistas to view. Like I said, here is the map. So you can see there's lots of loops. I would say our steepest section that you're gonna encounter hills is to the east. You can see there's that red loop. That does have a little bit of a hill to it. It's not crazy, but you will notice it. And then the trails that goes along the lake can get a little wet, not too bad. And then this blue trail here can get a little steep as well, and it's pretty narrow. So that might be something to keep in mind when you go there, but it is really beautiful. If you're familiar with the shrub tree witch hazel, there's a great patch all along the lake here, so it can be a really stunning sight. Next, we have Leonard Preserve, which again I would say is just kind of that intermediate, because for the most part it's pretty flat. There are a couple hills, and the other like problem is at the very like start of the trails, it is, especially this time of year, super wet and muddy. Like I highly recommend some sort of waterproof boot if you're gonna go here. But if you can make it past that beginning portion, it's definitely worth it. It's really beautiful. Again, another place that doesn't allow dogs. It doesn't have facilities on site, so keep that in mind. But some of my favorite wildlife moments have happened in this preserve. I know this past winter I was walking there along the trail that goes along the river, and I saw a mink just like running around on the ice shelf on the river. So it was like really magical. This doesn't have benches, but there are a lot of down logs that offer some good sit spots. So I know along the river I have like a certain spot where there's all these logs that I do love to sit at and just sort of decompress from the day and world and life. So it's really pretty. It does have some great wildflowers, so if you're into wildflowers. And then I also love the fall colors here, like along the river, are just stunning. So here's our map, and that blue trail is what goes along the river, that has all the logs with the sit spots. And it's really pretty. I feel like no matter the time of year, like it's just it's really enjoyable to walk that. Either just like pretty wintry scenes with the water still kind of flowing, some ice, shelves or fall colors. Soon we'll start getting all the wildflowers, and then in summer it's just like this glorious green tunnel of trees. So it's really quite nice. My other favorite spot is in that southwest corner, that red loop. That is a native prairie, so we didn't like plant it, wasn't restored, it was just always there. And that can be really, really beautiful in like late summer. So I would say like the first few weeks of August, if you can time it, it's, oh gosh, it's just breathtaking. Like there's a plant there called Blazing Star. It's this really pretty purple flower. And if you can get the timing just right, like it can sometimes just see like the sea of purple. So it's quite lovely. And also a really great spot for birds. But I will say this kind of southern west little loop here is, if you're gonna have any sort of steep elevation change, it's gonna be over there. So there's, let's see, a decent hill. There's another trail that, oh, go away, that comes up through here that can be pretty steep. It's not crazy dramatic incline, but it's like just enough. Like I know for me, if I'm carrying my trail pack with me, like it gets my heart pumping and I'm breathing. And then in addition, where is it? Between 7 and 8 is a pretty decent incline as well. But overall, fairly flat if you're kind of on the eastern northern portion, and it provides really nice, good open views of some restored fields to the north. Another one here is Draper Houston Meadows Preserve. This one is down in Milan, and this one has about 2.5 miles of trails. Again, lots of loops. All these tend to have like really good loops, so you don't have to do this whole system. And a lot more boardwalks. And I don't have any updated photos of the boardwalks, but they all have just been redone. So even this boardwalk that you're seeing in this picture, it'll look even better now. Again, it does not have facilities on site. It doesn't allow dogs as a preserve, but the wood sections do provide really great wildflowers. I know for me, because it's down in Milan and I live like on the other side of the county, like I'm in, even out of the county Grass Lake. So I know it's a drive, but I will like go there just, in spring just to try and see the wildflowers. So it's really, pretty. So here is our map. For the most part, pretty flat and level. I will say this, you can see the dotted black trail over here to the like kind of more northern dotted black trail. That can get pretty wet. It goes kind of through like a swampy floodplain woods. So that can get wet and muddy. It's also can be really narrow, and kind of like angled and uneven. So that might not be the easiest trail to hike. But I would say like the best that has like the flowers, these are either along the blue trail, kind of along the wetland there, and then where that gathering of like 5, 2, and 3 trail markers is another really good spot. There is a second entrance to this park. So if you see in the southeast corner where it says Nature Park, you can park over on that and walk across the street to walk in. And it has that little red loop. I don't think we've made it so that you can go from that to the main trail system. But if that is something you just wanted to do a really short little loop, you could park over and walk across the street, but you do have to cross the street. So do keep that in mind. Whitmore Lake Preserve. So I would consider this our transition kind of from like intermediate to maybe a little more challenging. And the only reason it's challenging is because this preserve, it always feels like it's wet and muddy. um, so it does, it's surrounded by a lot of wetland, which is really, really fun, especially like I love amphibians and frogs and turtles. Um, so it's a really great place to go for that. And I have a lot of fun there. But again, you probably want some waterproof boots or boots that you don't mind will get a little muddy. The other thing too that can be maybe a bit of a challenge is the entrance, like right from the parking lot, which is that bottom corner, bottom left corner photo. It's a pretty steep grade. It also has some like larger, more looser gravel in it, and like these little humps along the trail to help kind of with any erosion. So it's not the most appealing part of the trail to walk down, but once you do get past it, you'll come to this like beautiful restored field in the woods. Like I always say, there's just some magical restorative properties or something in the woods because they're just so pretty. And it's one of my favorite like fall colors. Also, again, no dogs or facilities on the site though. But here is our map. So you see that trail marker 1 going down, that's our steep trail grade with the gravelly humps. But once you round that corner, it's pretty level, pretty flat. And you walk past some really nice wetland going towards trail marker 2, which is really fun. This year, like I imagine this time of year, it's just, it probably is almost deafening with frogs right about now. So could be really fun if you like frogs. But that when you get to marker 2, that loop there, again, is a really beautiful field. It's really lovely in the summer when all the flowers start blooming. A section that can get maybe muddy and is kind of steep. So like between markers 12 and 6, it can be kind of like a awkward, narrow section of trail. And then like from 6 to walk down towards trail marker 5, that does have a steep hill. And when it's really muddy and or icy, I usually don't even go down that section of trail. Just because like I myself am more worried about like I might slip and fall on this. But that blue loop is just a really beautiful patch of woods, and it's usually where I see all like the great fall colors. So not like really, really long, but again, mostly like I feel like the mud is what makes this one tricky. Park Linden. Park Linden is really beautiful, it's stunning, but it will be a challenging hike. So at this place, there is an amazing display of like glacial geography. So you get lots of hills, steep inclines, there where land is deposited. So there's cames, nice big hills. There's eskers where like our old like rivers that would run underneath, glaciers, and then there's Kettle Lakes, which are deposited from a chunk of ice being in the ground and like making a depression and it melting and filling with water. So it's a really amazing display of elevation change. There are a couple pavilions on site, so there can be like some really cool gathering spots and resting spots. But overall, like this park, I consider like this is my fitness park. And you can because it is considered a park, you can take dogs here. So like I will take my dog there, and this is where like we're getting our workout in. We are going to be huffing and puffing up some hills, and I mean my dog is not very old, so it wears him out. Like he's still a young pup and he's usually pretty tired after it. Another really cool thing is this does connect to the Waterloo Pinckney Trail. So I think in total, like including Park Linden, I think it's like 50 some miles of trail you could potentially hike or walk. So it's a pretty impressive trail system. Um, this does have restrooms at it, but only on the north side. And so there are, I guess I should note too, there are two sections to this. There's north and south, and they're separated by North Territorial Road. And I'm just I didn't even say where this is. So this is like located north of like the city of Chelsea. Well, north and east. But here's our map. So you can see it's separated. North Territorial Road runs kind of not quite center, but it cuts between the two. And if you can see those little elevation lines in our map here, you can see the south has all just incredible steep hills. It does have some really nice overlook spots on our little Lake Genevieve there, which I've seen some like really cool ducks on and other fun birds. And then the north is not as steep. You're definitely going to encounter some hills. But for me, my favorite part of Linden North is, if you're familiar with the tree tamarack, it has incredible tamarack displays. So you can walk along this esker trail, which goes up and almost out of Park Linden, which would be the normal Waterloo Pinckney Trail there. But if you look off to the sides on the esker trail, you can see the tamaracks, which in the fall, it just like, I remember this past fall, I was walking there and it seemed like the forest was glowing. They were just so bright and yellow. And then another, oh no, go back. Another great tamarack spot is this yellow loop here between the Strawberry Island and Oak Island, as it has it listed. Has some other really good tamarack viewing. It does get a little wet through there. And there's kind of like an overgrown boardwalk on site. So it might not always be the easiest trail to walk, but it can be beautiful if you got some good boots going through there. Another one that I would consider kind of a difficult hike, and really only because if you walk the whole thing, you're going to put in some miles. There's a really flat straightaway if you do the whole thing, and you can shorten it a little bit, but if you go out, it's going to be about 5 miles of hiking. And when you get to the final loop to turn yourself around, it does have a decent hill to go up and coming down is a little more gradual. But again, if you go all the way out to that far loop, you're committing to 5 miles of hiking. And there is a shorter, which is like that 0.8. There is a shorter loop, but the shorter loop does have a really steep hill to get up into it and then coming back down. But you don't have to go far. I will say, if you're just there to see some birds, there is some really great waterfowl viewing right along the lake. You don't even have to go very far from the parking lot. It's just really fun. If you've gone out there and you've seen thousands, if not more, of ducks, so it can be a really incredible display of waterfowl. This place is fun, and I don't have the full map because it is in partnership with the Michigan DNR. So technically, because the parking lot does fall under the DNR portion of the property, a state park pass is required. I don't know how often they patrol that, but it is listed as having a state park pass being needed. And I don't have, as far as the map goes, the DNR section. So you can see there's a dark black outline of the preserve, and this is all the county part. And so where there's a red trail continues that isn't outlined in black, this is all DNR state land. So do keep in mind, because it is state land over on that portion, and the parking lot is, if you can see my little marker, is right here. Anything on this state land side, during hunting season, there will be, they do allow hunters on that. So I always suggest, even though it's such a short from the parking lot to getting to county property, and the county does not allow hunting on our land, maybe still having orange with you when you go out, even if it's just like an orange hat. Maybe you don't need the full vest or anything, but do keep in mind the state side will allow hunting. So in deer seasons around, you might hear gunshots. But again, as you can see, it's a long trail. This red loop now, and I could not find an updated map. This red trail goes actually all the way to the very end, to Sharon Hollow Road now. And this is really flat, really easy, and they just like kind of like graded it. So it's super easy. I know there are a lot of people too, when they park here, they only go up to Noggles Road and turn around. And you're mostly walking through really nice forest when you're going up towards Noggles Road. So even during the summer, you can be really shaded. Once you go past Noggles Road, because there is a lot of fields and farm, on like a hot summer day, you might bake a little bit. So keep that in mind while you're there. And then that blue loop with the steep hills. So going in is going to be a pretty steep hill. And then when you're coming down towards the lake is going to be the other steep part. But overall, pretty flat. And I do know as well, this patch of woods is also going to get a trail, if you can see my marker, this red loop. So should get another little bonus on that eastern side. It's in the process, so it's not totally completed just yet. So if you do go out on that side, it'll either just be marked with flagging tape, or it won't be completely accessible. It's in the process of being made. So yeah, so one of the challenging ones, even though it's like flat, it's just like the distance can be difficult, as well as the one short loop has the steep trails. So that was just like a highlight. We have, like I said, we have so many other places to visit. Some of these are just like some of my favorites to visit that I just really love. So if you want to learn even more about the different places to hike, highly encourage visit our website, washtenaw.org/parks. We list all of our facilities that are open. It's also a great place to see when we purchase new land. We usually have little like articles go out of like, this place is open, with join us for an opening hike. We do host hikes at a lot of these places I list. So if you ever want to find out if a hike is happening there, you can go to the website, check out our calendar, or you can always reach out to me directly to find out what's going on. So I provided my contact information there. And if anyone uses social media, you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram. And we have some fun videos up on YouTube, like that Parker Mill Historical Park. If you can never get the timing right to visit when the mill is open, there is a whole video of kind of giving a little history of the park and watching it run. So you can check that out on YouTube. But yeah, thank you for having me. Let me talk about some of these trails. I hope some of them seem inspiring for you to go and visit, and you can have a really great time out in nature. will
Sherry, you're muted.
stop sharing my screen.
Sherry, you're still muted. There
Okay,
you go.
how's that? Thank you so much. So Mark now is going to share some of the questions that came in through the chat window. And I guess I'll
Oh,
put it on gallery so that
okay. Let's take these questions in reverse chronological order by height. Start with a couple of general questions. I know you've mentioned it twice, but I think we want to start with this because it's very important. Would you please again tell us the website where we can start to find the information?
Yeah, so washtenaw.org/parks.
Should be able to remember that.
One more time.
Washtenaw.org/parks.
Thank you. I think that's going to be very helpful. Now, a couple of general questions. If we go to this website, will it indicate where we can park for the main entrance to the different parks?
Yes, so all of our maps will have symbols on them that show you the parking areas. And almost, I think all of our preserves, I don't think there's any that don't have a lot. So all of them should have some sort of, like our little preserves will just have like a small gravel lot. And some of our bigger parks like the Rolling Hills, Independence Lake, they will have like full on big parking lots. Independence Lake has both styles of parking lots. So there is one by their spray park that is a paved parking lot. And then the one parking lot closer to like the beach and the swimming area, lake area, that is a gravel parking lot.
Okay, thank you.
And then all the ones at Rolling Hills are all paved.
Okay. When we get to the entrance to the park and we go to the parking lot, will there be large signs indicating the various trails and the length of the trails?
Yes, each one should have a kiosk at it that will have a map, maybe some, unless they've been like ruined by weather, some sort of like small sign just kind of giving a little history and the habitat of the place that you're at. And most of them should have, why can't I think of what it's called? Like a little holder for paper maps, that if you wanted to take one, you could take one. You can also put the paper maps back when you're done hiking. Or at least there will be a sign with the map on it that some people can just take a photo. Like if you have a phone with you that can take photos, like some people just take a photo of the map and use that.
Thank you. You've already answered the next question. Very good.
Oh.
You read my mind. You must have ESPN. I noticed that some of your maps have contour lines. Other maps did not. For those of us that are familiar with hiking or trailing, the contour maps would be really useful in terms of anticipating inclines. Is there a reason why we haven't updated to get more contour maps on your contour lines on your maps?
I don't have great answers why not all of our maps have contour lines. I think some of our like paper maps, which were part of my presentation, it's just, I think because it's simpler, there's not a lot going on, is why like some of the paper maps that they put out or put on the website don't have the contour lines. And I'm trying to remember if the kiosk maps, like the ones that are on a sign posted on the kiosk, I feel like those have contour lines on them though. But I can always put it into our our planning department about like, hey, we need more contour map or contour lines on our maps, and see if, you know, this group here can't make the change to have that. But I think the kiosk the kiosk maps do have contour lines. It's just a lot of our paper ones, and the ones you can download from the website, don't think always have those contour maps or contour lines.
Right, thank you.
Mhm.
Guided tours, you mentioned a couple of these things have guided tours. Would that information be on the website?
Yes, yep. So if something is about to happen at one of these places listed or any of our sites, you can check the calendar. We tend to go kind of quarterly, seasonally. So like all of spring was up, and by the start of May, all of our summer programs will be put out. And there is a program guide that goes out as well. So I think you can sign up on our website there. There's a link to sign up for your email to get that program guide sent to you if you would like. But yes, all of the programs will be on our website if you check the calendar.
Excellent. There seemed to be a pattern there. When something was called a preserve, does that mean they will not have restrooms and they would not have dog trails?
Typically, yep. If it's considered a nature trail, it won't have restrooms or allow dogs. And the dogs is just because it's more of high quality. They tend to be high quality nature areas, so we just try and avoid having that kind of like unnatural predator there at the site, and hopefully like not everyone picks up after their dog. So to avoid on those more pristine nature areas, dog feces, and to avoid anyone who thinks that their dog can be off leash too, we also try and discourage that. It's why they say no dogs at those sites.
Okay, thank you. Someone asked about ATVs. How do you keep these things off the trails?
Oh gosh, it can be tricky. A lot of our places maybe will have some sort of fencing to hopefully keep them from coming like from the road into a place, or we call them bollards, like wooden posts to try and stop that. It's not always possible. Sometimes it happens, and we usually try our best to see where those trails are coming from, to talk to those neighbors, to be like, please don't drive your ATVs on our it's not always a problem. I think Watkin Lake just recently had some issues with ATVs, and I think even snowmobiles this past winter. So I think a few people were talked to about that. So it can be tricky. It's usually we have a lot of people that are active hikers on those sites. They'll like email us and report out like, hey, I'm seeing some weird tire tracks. But I will also say sometimes like our stewardship crew, like they drive back their equipment on some of these. So if it is like a wet, muddy time of year, you might even see some of those, but it might have been done by us trying to get to something. But we usually, it's not like a major problem, but it does happen. And we usually try and find some ways to deter people from doing that.
I see Judy has her hand up. We're going to unmute Judy in just a minute here, but I got just two more quick questions. Could you tell us just a little bit more about the senior programs? You said something about there might be some senior programs.
Yeah, so senior naturalist, again, look on the calendar. They are run by our other naturalist, Elle Bogle. So she's going to be kind of the main point of contact for that. But she tends to, she just recently did one on vernal pools. So she took a group of seniors out to a vernal pool and gave everyone nets, and they went dipping in the vernal pool and looked for all the like fun little creatures and salamanders and frogs that use those. So she does a variety of different topics. And they tend to have like some sort of like sciencey, almost like sampling method to them. I think she's even teaming up with our stewardship crew, and she's going to do like a stewardship themed one. So there's always, I feel like she has like some sort of like action planned for you. But she tends to keep the hikes like pretty simple, short. Yeah, they're usually monthly, I would say, if not every other month. So she has quite a few of them throughout the year. And
Okay,
I think they're on like Tuesdays or Wednesdays, so they're
But
usually
we
in
could
the
find
middle
this
of the
from the,
week.
we could find this from the website, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see, Sherry, would you unmute Judy so she could ask her question? Could we, is it okay,
I
Kelsey,
can
if we open it up?
mute myself.
Okay,
Kelsey, I noticed you had really great maps with a lot of information on them. But when I went to the site to look up like the preserve in Whitmore Lake, it literally had no markings on it except for the loops. And it didn't have the entrance or anything like that on it. So is there a way to get the maps that you used today, other than going back through the
Mhm.
recorded message that we have today, which I could do too, and then just take a screenshot, but
Yeah, so the map, especially of the Whitmore Lake one, that map should be on the website. I'll have to
there is a map on the website, but it's literally
have the numbers.
a green, like, squarish type thing with
Mhm.
the lines of the trails, but no markings at all on it.
Well,
So
that's
you
weird.
don't know where to park, you don't know where to.
Yeah.
I like the maps that you use.
Yeah, and that map I had, that one should be on the web. So
Maybe I
I
have to
will
look
update
harder.
that one.
Okay.
I will see who I need to talk to about getting on the
But
website
I
there.
just went in and put in that name, the preserve in it, and
Mhm.
that came up. That's what I got
Yeah.
okay.
through the
Yeah,
park
that's
finder.
super, super weird that it doesn't have that. I wonder if it just didn't get our most recent updated map on there, which is so strange. I apologize about that.
No, I wanted to make sure that I could get the maps that you're using.
Yeah, and most, like what I had pulled up today, the maps I use, those are what should be on the website.
If I can.
Okay, Kelsey, most of the other comments are very, very positive and thank you and great information. And we can't wait to get out there and visit these different parks. If it's okay with you, I'd like to open it up to anybody else here to have them ask you any particular question, maybe that they've just thought of.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like Kay has her hand up.
Well, I tried to put a chat thing out and I don't know how to do it because it didn't go anywhere. It's sitting there with feathers. I'm curious, are the boardwalks suitable for walkers? I mean, like the wheeled walkers that we have to use because we can't walk very far.
Oh,
I know paved ones are, but I wondered if the boardwalks are, because I remember taking my mother one time somewhere and she had trouble getting her walker on the boardwalk because the steps were too hard to get up to it.
Yeah, a lot of our boardwalks and a lot of them are getting like updated. They should be pretty like streamlined from like paved to boardwalk, like especially at a place like Independence Lake.
Okay.
And even on like the border to border trail.
No.
Draper Houston, I think one of them, at least it used to have a step. I'm trying to remember if it's going to have a step now. Draper Houston might have a like kind of a step to it, but
I can handle 1 or 2 steps, but I just remember this place had like 6 steps and she could.
oh gosh, yeah,
I
none. I don't know any of our boardwalks that are like an actual set of stairs to get up. Like most of them tend to be like whatever the trail is,
Okay.
kind of like blends into the boardwalk. So it all should be pretty level. If anything, maybe 1 step.
That just sounds great because I can't walk anymore. And I'm thinking, oh, I could take that. I don't use the walker very much, but I can use it if I'm going to go walk a long distance and
Yeah.
it'd be fun. Yeah.
Thank you, Kelsey. Anyone else have a question? Oh, it looks like Nina has her hand up. Nina?
Is there a place to get information that's amalgamated for city and county parks and township parks?
As far as city parks, you probably have to go to the city website.
Yeah.
Like I know we get a lot of confusion, especially in the Ann Arbor area, because Ann Arbor City Parks has, it seems like a little park on every corner. So for their maps and their any sort of trails, you probably have to go to Ann Arbor City Parks. And I don't think our website even has like good links in between those. So you just have to go to whatever that city is and their like city park website.
It would be a nice thing to have.
Yeah, some sort of connection. Yeah.
A place to look at the whole county and see what's available.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know of a site that has kind of like everything like that.
Mhm.
Okay,
I
good.
know on our website, I don't think it provides the detail I feel like maybe you're hoping for, but we do have on our website, like especially if you go to like a particular, like if you look at, like Winter Lake Preserve, and it'll have like the PDF version of the trail map, and it'll also say interactive map. And that will sometimes list other places nearby, like maybe
Oh.
other little parks. But I don't think it gives like detailed of the trails of the other parks is the only issue. It'll
Right.
just tell you like this part, like, a green square or whatever is here, and like this part exists, but it doesn't. So our interactive map is probably the closest, but like I said, it just doesn't offer like telling you what the trails and any amenities or anything that are on those like non-county properties.
Right, okay, that's good information. Paula, you have your hand up. Are you ready?
Sure. Hi, Kelsey. My
Hi.
question was, you talked about vehicle entry fees at some of the parks, and I would like to know how much the vehicle entry fees are.
That is an excellent question, and I can't believe I didn't even have that written down. And I do believe there is a senior daily pass for a Washtenaw County resident would be $3, and that is listed as 62 and older. And for a non-county resident is $6.
Thank you.
And then there are regular daily passes. So if you want the information just for like, if you were telling any other like family or friends to go there, so a general daily pass to get in would be $6 for a resident and $10 for a non-resident.
Okay, and I have one more question. Besides the senior naturalist program, do you have other programming specifically aimed at seniors?
No, that's really like the only like just for seniors programming. I mean, obviously, like when I host a birding hike, anyone is welcome to come and enjoy birds with me. Like I don't have like an age limit. But as far as like specific for like, I think what does L have it as, like 55 and up? That's the only like strictly like senior program offering.
I'm interested because I sit on the board for Friends of Rouge Park and for the Detroit Parks Coalition, and we are having senior programming in our park this summer. So I'm just trying to steal some of your ideas. And thank you. The senior naturalist program will work well for us in Rouge Park, and I think that's something we can probably add. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Can we send it back to Sherry?
Yes, but I have a question too, which if I could only hold on to it for 2 seconds. Is this PowerPoint available on the website?
This trails PowerPoint is not available on
Right, I
the
just wanted to
website.
know.
No, sorry, this was one I made just for you.
Aw. And I have been recording it, and the plan would be to send it to our members after a period of time.
Mhm.
Right, so I'm going to tell everybody what I'm going to do. I'm going to thank Kelsey profusely. I'm going to talk about our May program. And then we are going to share the annual video from Warsp. So I see Mark is doing deaf applause. Did you guys watch the Oscars with Coda and
Go to
so that's deaf applause.
American Sign Language.
And so that all of us, thank you very much. It was very informative. Some of the things I really liked were when you said, this is one of my favorite spots. or the detail you gave us about flowers and birds. This is a good place for this, a good place for that. You were very animated and had a lot of humor, and we really enjoyed it. So I thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And like I said, my email is on there. So if a question pops up that you have even after this, feel free to email me and hopefully I can get you a quick answer.
Great. And Judy has one more question.
Monica, I did find the PDF for that. If I Googled just that preserve, it came up with this other map, but if I went into a different way, I was able to find it.
Oh, good, good. Okay.
And thank you for letting us know. So thank you again, Kelsey. I'm sure you don't want to hang around for our meeting announcements and stuff. So we will applaud you again and say goodbye.
Well, thank you. It was lovely.
you.
It was lovely joining you, and
Oh, we
maybe
enjoyed
we'll
it.
do another one. We can actually be in person, which would be wonderful.
Exciting. Yes,
Thank
we
you.
would have loved it. And we would have had many more people. So, all right.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Kelsey.
Maybe next year we can have this at a park.
Yay!
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
For sure. Keep me in mind.
All right, thank you again.
Kelsey.
Right, so I just have a little bit to say here, and then we'll start the Mars annual video. Our next meeting will be in person at Weber's at 11 a.m. Friday, May 6th. Our speaker will be Representative Ronnie Peterson, who has been a friend and supporter of Warsp and our interests during his 3 terms representing the 54th District, which is the eastern half of Washtenaw County in the Michigan House of Representatives. Representative Peterson will address issues that affect our members, including promote the vote, current petitions, school curriculum, legislation, and changes in the tax laws, especially the possibility of repealing the pension tax. His presentation will be followed by an opportunity for members to ask questions and voice concerns. I'm going to pause for a minute and just put this on speaker, which I think will be easier. Note this, since this is our first in-person meeting in over 2 years, we are asking that everyone wear a mask throughout the meeting. So therefore, we're not serving food or beverages, but we also didn't charge anybody any money. However, after the meeting, you are welcome to enjoy lunch with friends in a Weber's restaurant if you make your own plans and reservations. Also at our May 6th meeting, we will hold elections. The current candidates for Warsp positions are Secretary Pat Drabant, Treasurer Mark Davids. The candidate for Area 4 Director, Area 24 Director is Mark Davids, and for Assistant Director, Linda Soper. Of course, nominations from the floors will also be accepted. In just a moment, we will share the annual video from Mars. However, first we have 2 brief legislative updates, and then we will share the video. And the first legislative update is from John Boblet.
He's not, he's muted.
Okay. Thank you very much, Judy, and thank you very much for whoever told me I was muted. Warsp has purchased a new grassroots digital advocacy tool called One Click Politics, which I received an overview of yesterday. One Click Politics employs email, phones, videos, Facebook, text messaging, and Twitter.
Oh.
One Click Politics allows Warsp members to edit or personalize a suggested message template written by Warsp when it wants to start an advocacy campaign. The person giving me the overview yesterday claims that the beauty of this program is that it will be easy and convenient for old timers like me to use. Yay. After editing or personalizing, we get to choose which channel of communication we want to send it by, such as email, phone, video, or Twitter. If we simply put in our address, One Click will automatically send our messages to our legislator or senator. We don't even have to think. Legislators are not influenced by numerous messages that are all the same, but they are impacted when each letter is different. Legislative aides keep detailed records of the number of messages received for various bills or constituent concerns. The more significantly different messages a topic or bill receives, the more the legislator will represent that issue. I am personally looking forward to recording a video message because that sounds like fun. If we can get the majority of members to use this tool, our combined but different messages will have a much more significant impact on important issues such as repealing the unconstitutional pension tax. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, John, very much. And now Mark has a few comments in his role of Area 24 Director.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you, John. Let me play on what John just said. There is strength in numbers, and the one-click politics is certainly one way, which would be a great improvement for us to be able to easily contact our legislators about our concerns. There are a couple other things that are happening right now that you should be aware of, and I think the Warsp team has done a great job in terms of warning people about the dangers of the Let Michigan Kids Learn petition. Despite the clever and upbeat title, it does pose a danger to us, I think, because the plan is to take $500 million, directly divert that money from the Michigan Department of Treasury into non-public education. The Michigan voters have consistently said no to voucher programs in the past, but the way this is designed, it would never go on a statewide ballot, which is kind of dangerous. The MEA, the AFT, and a lot of other educational organizations are opposing the petition. And our recommendation is that our members say no, and we urge you not to sign any petitions for the Michigan income tax credits or the student opportunity scholarships. Those are the two different petitions that go along with Let Michigan Kids Learn. So that was the no vote on the Let Michigan Kids Learn. But we do have a yes vote that we would hope you would be interested in. And that is a program called Promote the Vote. Again, this is a petition, and it has several ways to promote the vote. First of all, it would make it illegal for you to be harassed or intimidated at the polling places. It would make sure that all military overseas ballots, if they're postmarked by the election day, would be counted. It would also assure that prepaid envelopes would be provided for absentee ballots. It would also assure that drop boxes would be provided in every community that has 15,000 or more registered voters. It would also say once you complete the application for an absentee ballot, you don't have to do that every election, which we think would be good. Another thing is that this petition would ensure that we have 9 consecutive days of early voting available, including Saturdays and Sundays. And the last thing, which is very important, once the election results are certified, they could not be overturned by any individual or government body. And so we are hoping that you would sign these petitions called Promote the Vote 2022. And that concludes my presentation.
And we will have that petition available for signatures at the May 6th meeting at Weber's.